Beauty. It fascinates, hypnotizes, and dominates. From the ancient goddesses to Instagram icons, our world has always worshipped beauty. But behind the soft glow of admiration lies something darker, something Carl Jung understood deeply. Jung believed that everything we admire has a shadow, and beauty is no exception, because when society elevates beauty to the highest good, it quietly buries everything else in wisdom, empathy, depth. In this video, we'll explore what Jung called the shadow side of beauty, how being admired can imprison the soul, and how the pursuit of perfection can destroy what makes us truly human. Since the dawn of civilization, beauty has ruled the human imagination. It has been carved into stone, painted onto walls, and sung into legend. The Greeks gave us Aphrodite, born from sea foam, the embodiment of irresistible charm and divine allure. The Romans called her Venus. The poets worshipped her. The sculptors idealized her, and the warriors went to war in her name. Helen of Troy, the face that launched 1,000 ships. In every age, beauty has been treated like a sacred force, something to chase, to worship, and to fear. But beauty's power was never innocent. Even in the oldest myths, it is beauty that brings both desire and destruction. Where beauty walks, chaos often follows. Helen's beauty caused a war. Aphrodite's charm drove gods to madness. Behind the shining skin of beauty lies an ancient shadow, envy, obsession, and ruin. Carl Jung understood this duality deeply. To him, beauty was more than appearance. It was an archetype, a universal image that exists in the collective unconscious. In Jungian terms, beauty awakens the anima, the inner, feminine image that lives in every human soul. When we encounter physical beauty, we are not just seeing a person. We are meeting something far older, far deeper. We project our inner longing, our fantasies, our ideals onto that image. The beautiful face becomes a mirror of what we crave but cannot possess: harmony, innocence, wholeness. Yet that projection is dangerous, because what we worship, we no longer see clearly. The beautiful person becomes a symbol, not a soul. They are elevated, idealized, and imprisoned by the world's imagination. Jung wrote that every projection is a lie disguised as truth. The more perfect someone appears, the more invisible their humanity becomes. Beauty, then, is a kind of myth, not just cultural, but psychological. A story we keep retelling to make sense of desire, to give form to longing. It is both divine and dangerous, capable of inspiring love or breeding destruction. And like all myths, its power comes not from what is real, but from what we believe. The ancients may have carved their goddesses from marble, but we carve ours from pixels and filters. Yet the myth is the same. We chase the divine in the face of the beautiful and lose ourselves in the worship. Every human being wears a mask. Jung called it the persona, the face we show the world. It is not false. It is necessary. We build it to survive, to belong, to be accepted. The persona allows us to play our roles: the friend, the lover, the artist, the ideal. But the problem begins when we forget that it's only a role. For those blessed or cursed with beauty, this mask becomes even more powerful. The world mirrors back constant approval. Every smile, every gaze, every heart-shaped reaction becomes proof of worth. Slowly, the mask begins to feel like the self. The performance replaces the person. Jung warned that when the persona grows too strong, the soul becomes weak. The individual stops living and they start acting. Behind the mask, emptiness forms, because everything real, everything raw, is hidden away, disowned to protect the illusion. The beautiful often live inside a hall of mirrors. Every reflection praises them, but none truly sees them, and so they begin to fear the one thing the mask cannot protect them from. Maxima aging becomes not just a physical change, but an existential crisis, because when identity is built on appearance, every wrinkle feels like death. The tragedy of the persona is that it imprisons while pretending to protect. We hide our vulnerability to appear strong. We suppress pain to remain graceful. We sacrifice authenticity for admiration, and the cost of all this perfection is intimacy. The more polished the mask, the more distant the soul becomes. Jung believed that to live fully, we must one day take off this mask, to be seen not as the world's idea of beauty, but as the flawed, trembling, radiant truth underneath. Only when the mask cracks can the light finally enter. Every light casts a shadow. Carl Jung believed that the shadow is the part of ourselves we refuse to see, the hidden emotions, forbidden desires, and painful truths buried beneath the image of who we think we are. Beauty, radiant as it seems, is no exception. In fact, the brighter the light, the darker the shadow behind it. In a world that worships appearance, beauty becomes a kind of moral currency, a ticket to admiration, influence, even love. But beneath this glow, something ancient stirs: fear, envy, and resentment. Those who are beautiful are not merely seen, they are projected upon. People see not who they are, but what others long for or hate or wish to become. Jung wrote that the shadow contains everything the conscious mind rejects. For many, that means weakness or failure. But for the beautiful, the shadow is more subtle. It holds their forbidden humanity, their anger, their insecurity, their exhaustion. Because when the world insists that you are flawless, you learn to hide everything that isn't. This creates a prison of light, an illusion of perfection that must be maintained at all costs. The smile becomes armor, the grace becomes defense. Every photo, every compliment, every admirer strengthens the mask and deepens the emptiness beneath it. The shadow grows in silence. The more one tries to appear composed, the more chaos gathers underneath. And soon the person who lives for admiration begins to feel unseen, not because no one looks, but because no one truly sees them. Jung warned that what we repress does not disappear, it waits. The beautiful may repress rage, shame, or grief, but these emotions transform underground. They become anxiety, depression, or a desperate hunger for validation. Each new admirer gives a momentary high, a fleeting proof of worth, before the emptiness returns. And society, too, carries its own shadow. It idolizes beauty publicly, while secretly resenting it. The same crowd that worships perfection delights in watching it falter. The scandal, the aging face, the moment the goddess reveals she's human. After all this is the collective shadow, envy disguised as entertainment. The tragedy of beauty is not vanity, it's alienation. When everyone loves your image, it becomes harder and harder to find someone who loves your soul. Jung believed that healing begins when we turn toward the shadow, when we acknowledge the darkness instead of hiding it. To see the shadow of beauty is not to reject it, but to humanize it, because only when the illusion fades can the real person finally emerge. In the end, the shadow does not destroy beauty, it deepens it. Face that has known sorrow carries a truth that flawless perfection never could. The shadow is not the enemy of beauty. It is its missing half, the part that makes it real, alive, and whole. Admiration feels like sunlight, warm, affirming, intoxicating. But stay in it too long and it burns. Jung understood that what the world calls admiration often hides something deeper, a hunger for validation, a fragile dependence on being seen. Because the moment others start defining our worth, we slowly forget how to define it ourselves. For the beautiful, admiration becomes constant and then compulsory. Every glance, every compliment, every camera lens becomes a small dose of approval. Feels good until it becomes a need. What begins as appreciation turns into addiction. The self starts to perform beauty instead of simply being. Jung called this inflation. When the ego expands beyond its true center, the personality swells with the energy of the collective gaze. The person begins to believe they are the image that others worship. But like a balloon, inflation is delicate. One moment of rejection, one sign of aging, one loss of attention, and it bursts. This is the wound of admiration. When love is no longer love but surveillance, when beauty must be maintained, not expressed, when the applause never stops, but somehow you feel lonelier than ever. The tragedy is subtle. The beautiful person begins to act, to smile on cue, to pose in ways that confirm the illusion. They become a mirror for the desires of others. The more they please, the more they disappear. Slowly, authenticity withers. Emotional growth freezes. They stop asking, "Who am I?" and start asking, "Who do they want me to be?" Jung would say that the self, the true center of the psyche, becomes eclipsed by the persona. The performance replaces the person. The reflection devours the soul. And the longer this continues, the deeper the inner emptiness grows. To heal the wound of admiration, one must dare to disappoint, to allow silence where applause used to be, to choose authenticity over attention. Because only when we stop performing can we begin to feel again, not through the eyes of others, but through the depths of our own being. The wound of admiration is painful, yes, but it also opens a door, a chance to rediscover what beauty was meant to be all along. Not a performance for the world, but a communion with the soul. There comes a moment when every illusion begins to crack. The applause fades, the mirror stops answering, the mask feels heavy, and in that silence, that terrifying stillness, something sacred begins to stir. Jung called this the beginning of individuation, the process of becoming whole. Individuation is not about becoming perfect, it is about becoming real to reclaim the soul. One must first descend into the shadow, into the places we've spent a lifetime avoiding. All that was repressed. The anger, the grief, the insecurity waits there, not as enemies, but as forgotten pieces of who we are. Jung wrote, "Wholeness is not achieved by cutting off a portion of one's being, but by integration of the opposites." That means embracing what we once denied, allowing the darkness to exist beside the light. The shadow is not meant to be destroyed. It's meant to be seen, held, and understood. For the beautiful, this means allowing themselves to be human again, to feel ugly sometimes, to be imperfect, to let the world see not only the glow, but also the scars beneath it, because only through honesty can beauty become alive. Again, the soul cannot breathe through perfection, breathes through truth. When we stop performing and begin feeling, when we stop impressing and start expressing, beauty transforms. It becomes soulful. Jung believed that this transformation, this journey inward, is not a retreat from life, but a return to it. Individuation is a reconciliation between the outer image and the inner being. It's when the person behind the mask and the mask itself finally meet and no longer need to fight. Society teaches us to polish our surface. Individuation teaches us to understand our depths. It asks us to trade admiration for authenticity, performance for presence, and perfection for wholeness. The path is not easy. To confront the shadow is to face pain. The pain of what we've hidden, the grief of what we've lost, the fear of who we might truly be. But beyond that pain lies freedom. Because what we suppress controls us. What we accept transforms us. When we integrate the shadow, we stop being ruled by it. The need for constant validation fades. The fear of aging softens. The performance ends. What remains is something quieter, deeper, a beauty that doesn't demand attention, but radiates presence. Jung might say that the soul, once fragmented by illusion, begins to return home. Beauty, when integrated, no longer enslaves others, it expresses. It becomes a mirror not of perfection, but of humanity, and that, perhaps, is the ultimate paradox. When we stop trying to be beautiful, we finally become it. Individuation is the journey from image to essence, from admiration to authenticity, from the outer glow to the inner flame, and the light that emerges from that union of shadow and self, mask and soul, is not the beauty of appearance, but the beauty of being. Every age creates its own gods. Ours are not carved in marble. They live in screens, in filters, in flawless faces. We still bow before beauty. But what we have forgotten is that true beauty was never meant to be worshipped. It was meant to be felt. Carl Jung taught that wholeness is not found in perfection, but in integration, in the meeting of light and shadow, mask and soul, self and truth. The more we chase the image of perfection, the further we drift from the pulse of life itself, because life, real life, is messy. It is filled with contradictions, scars and sacred flaws, and yet, within that imperfection, lies the beauty we've been searching for all along. To see beauty truly, we must look with more than our eyes. We must look with the heart that has suffered, with the soul that has fallen and risen again, When beauty is divorced from depth, it becomes shallow. When it is reunited with truth, it becomes sacred. Jung might say that what we call beauty is a symbol, a mirror reflecting the soul's desire to remember itself. The artist who paints, the model who poses, the poet who dreams, all are reaching for the same thing. Not admiration, but connection. Not approval, but meaning. The journey through the shadow of beauty leads us back to the beginning. But this time, with eyes open, we learn that beauty was never just in the face or the form, it was in the courage to face the darkness, the honesty to embrace the cracks, and the grace to remain kind in a world that worships perfection. To be beautiful is easy, to be whole is rare. Wholeness is beauty that has survived its own destruction. It is beauty that knows pain, yet chooses compassion. It is beauty that no longer seeks attention, because it has found peace. Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Perhaps that is the real purpose of beauty, not to dazzle the world, but to awaken the soul. And when we finally live from that place, raw, imperfect, unfiltered, we discover that the shadow was never our enemy. It was our teacher. The journey through darkness was never about losing beauty. It was about finding the kind that never fades.